Hello there guys, and welcome to Chrome Hazard Gaming. And today I just thought I'd talk to you a bit about one of gaming's latest controversies. And as I'm sure a few of you out there know, there is a new game currently being developed by Vanillaware called Dragon's Crown, which will be out later this year for the PlayStation 3 and the PS Vita. And it's basically a side-scrolling beat-em-up, kind of like Guardian Heroes. And there's some really stupid shit going on right now online. And it all started with a comment by Kotaku's Jason Schreier. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Basically calling out Dragon's Crown's artist, basically saying that, you know, game developers really need to stop letting teenage boys design their characters, basically accusing him of being a 14-year-old boy, and criticising him for some of the female character designs in the game. Since that whole thing started, this story just blew up. Like, I mean, the latest thing is one of the artists working at Gearbox is getting involved, and you know, there's just constant battles on NeoGAF, just in comment sections on these websites. It's baffling. I mean, it's sickening to just read through some of it. Now, I'm gonna say right now, you know, I can see in some ways, you know, where Jason initially came from, but I think he was bang out of line, and you know, it was fair enough. It was George Kamitani who's the artist. He responded, and he sent an image of that he drew of like some big burly dwarf men as a response, basically saying, "Is this what you'd rather have?" Which was kind of immature, but you know, how else is he going to react really to his art being criticised? But anyway, I'll get to the meat of this whole thing. Jim Sterling put out a great video basically detailing his thoughts, and I recommend you go watch that. I'll put it in the little description box down the bottom, so make sure you check that out. And I think his main point was that basically there's a real discussion to be had here, and there's no need for people to just be resorting to immature insults. And I think that's exactly where this Shaylin Ham has completely gone wrong. I'm just going to quote what she said on the Escapists forums. And she says, also, this might be the first time I've seen that character, and holy shit, ahahaha. That's actually something that's made its way into a basically finished video game. Fucking lol. Some juvenile delinquent kid in my 5th grade class used to draw girls that look like that, only without the creepy blank featureless same faces and wizard hats, and I think he was better at it. I also think he's in jail now, and this is amazing. The first thing I think about that, it's ridiculous that like someone would just jump right in there and just attack a person, you know, basically accusing him of being a potential sexual deviant, without really giving the whole thing much thought at all. I mean, it's just pure hatred. It's just it's not the right attitude to bring into this conversation. I'm sure if she'd actually took more than a couple of seconds to write that comment down and you know, and just throw out that pure hatred, she could have really contributed to this whole debate. I mean, we do live in a society where freedom of speech is very important, and people are allowed to express themselves through whatever means they desire. There's always going to be people who don't agree or don't like something, and in this case, I personally don't think it's as bad as people are making out. There's way worse out there. A lot more exploitation in certain other video games. If you actually look at this art style, I'll post a few images on the screen of some of the female and male characters. It's a very exaggerated art style to begin with. It's almost not human how exaggerated some of the features are, especially if you look at the Amazon woman or the one of the burlier male characters. And it's not all about pure boobage, as you can see with the Archer. She's pretty well covered up, to be honest, and she's still sexy in her own way. Anyway, so I was rooting around, and one comment I noticed which was really interesting. I'll just basically go through it. Right, so this is I'd just like to thank whoever Hokuto Andy is, and this is on the Kotaku forums, and I'm not trying to justify the whole use of big breast. I just think that sometimes they can be used in a tasteful way, and this kind of opened my eyes. Right, so this is basically showing that basically certain motifs that are used throughout history and art and stuff. For example, the dwarf using Thor's hammer, or using a Thor-esque hammer. Right, so it's a short hammer. It's basically a Norse blacksmith hammer. Vikings didn't actually use hammers for warfare. The mythology of Thor wielding one to smash monsters is just to show how awesome he is, basically. And in Dragon's Crown, the dwarf carries the Viking blacksmith motif of Thor. So tropes that are associated with Thor and with characters in fantasy, like dwarf characters in fantasy. That's basically the whole design with him. And as you can see, he's a big, burly, impossibly muscular man. They've also used this imagery in their previous work, Odin Sphere, and this is where we're going to get to the good stuff, basically the recurring elements. So basically, let's get to the main point. Looking at Odin Sphere, the queen of the underworld, who was, she's based around the whole theme of death. She had particularly large unnatural breasts, as well as skeletal features. Grimoire, the professor of necromancy, and the former necromancy professor, both had large breasts. And finally, in Dragon's Crown, the skeleton summoning sorceress is also well endowed. And the common thing that they have is that they all have a mastery over necromancy, as well as their large breasts. However, it's how they're both used in conjunction with each other. All these women basically can raise the dead, which means they give life to the non-living. And the motif throughout this is basically maternal affection. As is pointed out with this image, I mean, at first it might look like a grotesquely, sexual image, but it's more, a mother tenderly holding her child to her bosom, and caring for it. The breasts aren't just sexual objects; they actually have a purpose, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And when you analyze things in this way, it can add a whole new perspective to what you're seeing. So basically, I just hope that people give things a bit more thought in the future. Anyway, so I'm still interested in this game. I'm probably going to get it when it comes out, and I think it'll be good. Right, so let me know what you think. Just comment, and please don't start an all-out war. Let's make it constructive, and make sure you put plenty of thought in. And I'll speak to you guys in my next video. Right, bye.